Morning, students. So now we'll be doing the third element of the directing. So the third element of directing is, as you can see here, it is leadership. So what is leadership? It is a process where the group of people or a single individual is influenced. He is influenced, or the group of people, they are influenced by the leader or by the supervisor, so that he can or they can achieve the common goal. Okay, it is a process of influencing the behavior of the people at work so that they can work towards the achievement of goal. Okay, then comes features of leadership. So there are various features of leadership. Like here you can see it in the points. I'll tell you in short. So leadership, it is needed in all the walks of life, whether it's economical, social, political, everywhere. Then it is the duty of the leader to maintain the proper discipline among the subordinates. Okay, you should see that they have the proper discipline while working in the organization. Then the leader, he leads his group with the authority and confidence. Then leadership, he helps others in choosing and attaining the particular goals to the maximum satisfaction. Then the leader, he leads his group with authority and confidence, this I've told. Then a manager or the leader is able to influence the subordinates' behavior at work due to the quality of his own behavior. Then the last one, it is a continuous process. Okay, where he keeps on influencing, guiding and directing the behavior of the subordinates. So these were some of the features of leadership. Then comes importance of leadership. So these are some of the importance of leadership. So first, basic importance of leadership is that it is needed at all the levels of management, either it's top, middle or lower. Then second is, it acts as an aid to authority. Okay, the use of authority, it cannot bring out the desired result alone. The authority, who's having the authority, he can not only work for the goals. Okay, so the authority is given to, means the delegation of authority is done here. Then it rectifies the imperfectness of formal organization. Now here what will happen, there will be a communication in between supervisors, subordinates, and there will be a proper relation in between. Okay, then it also provides basis for the cooperation. You can say it increases the understanding between the subordinates and the management and promotes cooperation among them. Then leadership, it also acts as a motive power. It acts as a motive power. It acts as the motivating element. Okay. Then it improves motivation and morale as well. So these were some of the importance. Then comes qualities of leadership. So the physical features, like which can attract the people, like height, weight, health, everything. Okay. Then he should have a knowledge and the intelligence, okay, of group behavior, human nature, activities involving technical, professional competence, etc. Then integrity and honesty. So a leader should possess high level of integrity and honesty, and he should be a role model to others regarding the ethics and the values. Initiative. So a leader should have a courage and initiative. He should not wait for the opportunities to come to his ways, or rather he should try to grab those opportunities and use the advantage of the organization. Then communication skill. The skill of the communication, the skill of effective communication of goals and the procedure of work is extremely important. Okay, so to achieve the results, desired results, he should have a proper communication skills also. Then motivation skills. A leader should be an effective motivator. Okay, so that the needs of the employees, needs of the subordinates can be satisfied. Then comes self-confidence. Confidence about one's leadership ability makes it possible for a leader to analyze and face the different situations. Okay, so lack of self-confidence, it often prevents managers to adopt participative style. Then decisiveness. That means decision-making power. He should be open-minded. Whatever decisions he is taking, that should be favorable to each and everyone working in the society. Then social skills. He should be sociable and friendly as well with his colleagues, with his followers, everyone. and maintain a good human relations. Okay, so these were some of the features. You can read it. These were some of the features or some of the qualities, you can say, of leadership. Then talk about leadership style. So here you can see that is autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire leader. So the first style, it is autocratic. So the leaders who believe that whether they decide, think, or order is the only right and the best way of doing what is required to be done are said to follow the autocratic style. Okay, the leaders who think that whatever they are doing, that is best. So they are the only one who are framing each and every rules and regulations and assume full responsibility. Okay, to take the decision, make the allotments of work without consulting others, all these things. So the followers of such leaders, they are always insecure. They are always insecure and afraid of leaders. Okay. Autocratic, the decision-making powers are centralized. Okay. Then second is democratic. So democratic means here the leaders are the ones who like to consult with others. It's totally different from autocratic. Okay, so here he likes to consult with the other subordinates and take their wishes and suggestions also into considerations while making the decisions. And the subordinates, they are even encouraged to assume challenging responsibility. Understood? Then the third one is free rein leader or laissez-faire leader. So when a leader learns to behave like a group member and makes all the members of his group to choose their own methods of work, here everyone is free. Okay, he himself behaving like a subordinate. The leader himself start behaving like a subordinate. He start behaving like others, that now yes, I am also the part of your work and I am going to work as you are going to work. So each and everyone, they have their own types of methods of work, their own type of doing the work. The role of the leader it is negligible and limited, providing the advice and the direction as it is required. So these were some of the leadership styles. Autocratic, another name is authoritative. Okay, another name of autocratic is authoritative, and the next one is democratic, and the third one is laissez-faire. So authoritative, decision making power is centralized. Second one, it is not centralized, it's with subordinates also. And third one, subordinates are free to decide their own process and methods. Then comes the communication. So before starting this, let me tell you, from the communication part, the barriers of communication has been removed. 4 elements are there: communication, leadership, motivation and supervision. So from the communication part, barriers of communication has been removed. So if we talk about communication, you all know it refers to the process of exchange of ideas between or among the persons and create understanding. Okay. Communication, you all know what is it. Then comes the elements of communication. So here you can see the elements: encoding, decoding, sender, message, media, receiver, noise, feedback. So start with the first one, sender. Then second is message, then encoding, media, decoding and receiver. So sender, you all know the sender is the one who sends the message. Then message, the encoded message. It needs to be transmitted by the appropriate mean. It may be either verbal or the written. Sorry. Then encoding. What is encoding now? Encoding, the matter to be communicated is the second element. It refers to preparing the subject of communication like idea, fact, information in a suitable language. Okay. Then comes media, the medium of communication. Media is the medium, how it has to be transferred, like telephone, letter, radio, etc. Then comes decoding. So decoding refers to the conversion of message by the receiver into the meaningful terms so as to make it understandable to the receiver. Conversion of message by the receiver into meaningful terms to make it understandable by the receiver. Then the receiver, a person who receives the message from the sender. And then the last one is feedback. Feedback, the actual response of the receiver to the message communicated to him is known as feedback, and it is one of the important elements. Okay, as it reduces the possibilities of difference between the communicator and the message which is received by the receiver. Got it? These were some of the elements. Then noise and communication, this you all know. Reasons for noise, faulty encoding, just go through it once. Then importance of communication, it's a basis of coordination. Basis of coordination for whom? For the subordinates and the superiors. Okay. Then smooth working of the enterprise. If there will be a proper communication, if there will be a proper coordination in between the subordinates and the superiors, then obviously it will lead to the smooth working of an organization. Then basis for decision making. The supervisors, when they will communicate with the subordinates, then only they will get the various ideas, and that will lead to an effective decision making. Then increases managerial efficiency. Once these subordinates, they will start getting, the superiors, they will start evaluating the performance of these subordinates. What will happen? They will come to know that which subordinate is working like what, which subordinate is giving more efforts for achieving the goals. Okay, and once they will come to know that, they will obviously motivate them, and that will increase their efficiency. Promotes cooperation, that we have done. Establishes effective leadership. Once supervisor will start communicating, he will become an effective leadership by guiding them and by leading them. Morale and provides motivation. To whom? It boosts morale of whom and provides motivation to whom? Obviously the subordinates. So these were some of the importance. Then comes types of communications. So basically there are two types, that is formal and informal. So formal, they are based on the organizational relationship established formally by the management of the organization. Okay. So these are some of the types of communication: oral communication, written communication. See, now formal, informal. Formal is further divided into vertical, horizontal and diagonal. And then vertical is divided into upward and downward. So let's start with the formal communication. How is it created? Through the official channel. If somebody has to communicate with someone, then he has to follow the proper channel. Then part of it, first is vertical. Vertical, as you know, as you can see here, either it can be downward or upward. Okay, straight means from superior to subordinates or from subordinates to superiors. Okay, then next is upward communication. This is the part of this upward and downward, or vertical. Then horizontal. Horizontal means directly among those who are working in the same level. Okay, then it can be possibly of the same level, that supervisor from supervisor, then workers to workers, director to director, like that. And then diagonal. Diagonal, as you can see, anybody all are free to communicate with each other, but that in a proper way. They are free to communicate, but in a proper way. Then informal communication. Here they are not following any proper channel. They are not following any proper channel of communication. They are free to communicate with anyone. Okay. So grapevine network, it is the first type or the first example of informal communication. So what is grapevine now? Grapevine, as you know, the informal communication in terms of its origin and growth, it is spontaneous. Okay, so it is human nature to exchange inside information as what is happening there. So grapevine, here you can see the origin and the direction, it cannot be easily traced. Okay, from where it will start and where it will end, you will never ever come to know. Okay, so these were some of the differences between formal and informal communication. Then if we talk about grapevine communication network, it is further divided into 4. That is single chain, gossip chain, probability chain and cluster chain. So single chain, only one sender and one receiver. Then gossip chain, as the name is suggesting, when a person informs so many, then it is a gossip chain. Then probability chain, in this information is passed from one person to another on irregular basis. Okay. And then the last one is cluster chain. Cluster chain, if a person passes information to a few or selective persons, then it is a cluster chain. So these were 4 types of grapevine: single, gossip, probability and cluster. These were some of the differences between formal and informal communications. So single chain, as I told, it flows in a single chain from superior to subordinate. Y pattern, see. Then wheel pattern, one central person, he is the leader and he is communicating with others. Free flow, all are free to communicate with anyone. Circle pattern, each person in the group can communicate with 2. Okay, with the 2, those who are on the opposite sides of him. Inverted B, subordinate can communicate with his immediate superior as well as the superior's superiors, like B. For B, who is the superior? A. For D, who is the superior? A. Then who is the immediate superior? Then after him, superior is Z. So these were some of the formal communication network. An informal network, single strand, one communicates with the other in a sequence. Gossip, all are free to communicate with each other. Probability, on a random basis, anyone can communicate with any other. Then cluster, information is passed only for few, that is not for each and everyone. Like you can see here, M is giving only to L and then that can be further communicated, but he is only giving to whom? L. Understood? So these were some of the informal communication network. So here the chapter ends.